then now having to pay each other's wages, not just in waitressing, not just in bartending. I'm talking about everything. And I think it's just a precipice that we all need to think about, because it's not.
She's saying nothing.
There's a very careful and slippery slope here.
She hasn't said nothing.
That we just need to pause and consider. Because then we can very easily enter a world where no one is paid, where like no one's employer is like actually paying their wages, and we're all just tipping each other and essentially GoFundMeing the entire economy.
So the Congresswoman, she reminds me of a university student who's heavily engaged in liberal and progressive ideals. They spend all of their time making up issues that don't exist. They vigorously argue about these issues, even though they're not actually happening. That's who she reminds me of. I think a lot of her talking points, it's worst case scenario. There's no proof that it has ever happened, matter of fact. And there's no proof that it will happen. But it's just something to talk about to rile up her base, I suppose. And this is just another example of that. And again, this is what happens when there's no unified message. And so while Democrats are crying about no tax on tips and also trying to navigate no tax on Social Security, but at the same time push the idea that Republicans want to cut Social Security, Elon Musk was on Capitol Hill working with Republican lawmakers to implement some of these DOGE cuts permanently.
This extraordinary work that Elon Musk is doing with DOGE, that he's explaining to our House Republicans tonight, is transformative. It's really revolutionary in the way that we'll do budgeting. We'll limit the size and scope of the federal government, and we'll be much more accountable to taxpayers in this country, and that is long overdue. So I'm so grateful that he's doing that and sharing the updates and latest insights with the members, and I think there'll be a lot of good work that comes out of this. If there are savings and things that relate to FY25, and we have already passed the CR, then yes, of course, you'll have rescissions that will come from the administration, from the executive branch, and then Congress would act upon that because we want to save taxpayer dollars.
Now, in case you don't know the process, rescissions will probably have to take place. This is when funds have already been appropriated by Congress, but the president wants to cancel them or withdraw them. Well, that's what a rescission is, and that's something that may have to happen, especially if DOGE continues to uncover things that need to be cut out of the federal government. And for the Democrats out there who believe that the American public does not support this, here's what Tom Emmer had to say.
Based on what I'm hearing back from my district, it's about a 75% excited and happy that this is actually happening. They've been waiting for it for a long time. And you're right. You've got these activists. Many of them are paid activists. They represent different groups that have been making their money off the government for decades, and they don't want to see this happen. So they're literally trying to create some opposition that just doesn't exist.
And the whole thing about this entire debate, whether it's DOGE, federal spending, and the deficit, it really comes down to two general sides of this. Number one, which is the Democrats, they want to push sob stories. I mean, that's really what's happening. They want to tug on your heartstrings. And it is true. There are people losing their jobs. You know, they're going to be out of money. You know, they're going to have to figure it out. It's going to be tough times for them. That is true. But it's also true, which is from the Republican side, well, if we don't do anything, then this country is doomed. I mean, are we just going to go bankrupt? All because we don't want to, fire people from the federal government? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So let's hear this exchange between Scott Jennings and Caitlin Collins.
Here's the point that Republicans
but that's
are making.
more people who need eligible, who are eligible to.
Do we need 70,000 federal workers to cover it? My question, and what the Republicans are asking, is simply this. Is it not possible for us to approach getting back to 2019 spending levels, or maybe did we go too far with the size of government? It always gets bigger. It never gets smaller. There will be sob stories. There will be sad stories. but overall fiscal health of this country matters.
It can't be a talking point that these are sob stories. These are, again, people's livelihoods and also the health of this country, right? They have some of these mistakes that people keep talking about are gutting our agencies that are taking care of, I don't know, paying attention to the bird flu, Ebola, these things that actually can have detrimental impacts on
We have
the American
Ebola in the
people.
United States?
Well, we are helping the world be a safer place as well.
I mean, on the bird flu, Biden slaughtered all the chickens. I don't know if there's any left to kill.
On that note,
Democrats have a bad habit of underestimating how bad a problem really is. And Republicans sometimes overestimate how bad a problem is. And an example of that is Democrats underestimate how bad the border was. Afghanistan, Ukraine, Russia, the economy, illegal immigration, gang members, fentanyl. I mean, we can go on and on and on. So I'd rather overestimate than underestimate. And I say all that because clearly the Democrats are underestimating the problem with government spending. They want the government to increase in size, but that's not actually going to help the people they say they're fighting for.
Come on, Scott.
It was a bloodbath. You all love that word.
You can laugh about this, but these are things that people are actually scared about. I mean, measles is coming back. There's so many things that are happening that our federal government
You're saying
makes sure.
Elon Musk caused the measles?
I'm saying what is happening in this government right now with Donald Trump appointing.
You saying Donald Trump caused the measles?
I am saying that what is happening in this federal government under Donald Trump, allowing Elon Musk and allowing all these people that he appointed to run this government like this, is actually making us unsafer for the American
Elon
people.
caused the measles. You heard it here first.
Scott Johnson, not what you said.
If that's not what she said, then why did she try to make the point with measles as if it's only happening because Trump is the president? We're not stupid, okay? But they want us to be. This is the fascinating part about their argument. They just think saying whatever they say in order to diminish Trump and Elon Musk is enough to make an argument. It's not. So it leads me to the question of this video. Who is the fighter you are going to choose? President Trump, Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, RFK Jr., or are you going to pick AOC, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Jasmine Crockett? I think it's just a great question that they put up on social media, but it was definitely cringe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the
vague responses her mother gave about her father or why she had to take daily medication her entire life. Monique simply called them vitamins, and Kimberly, trusting her mother, never pressed for more details. One evening, a heavy rainstorm swept through the city, turning the sky dark and filling the air with the rhythmic patter of raindrops against the windows. Monique prepared a simple dinner, her movements unusually slow and deliberate. Kimberly noticed her mother seemed distracted, her eyes darting away whenever their gazes met. After the meal, Monique suggested they sit together in the small kitchen, a space filled with the hum of the refrigerator and the faint scent of old wood. Kimberly sensed something was wrong, but couldn't have predicted the weight of the revelation to come. Monique began hesitantly, her voice trembling. As she spoke, her words unraveled a truth Kimberly had never anticipated. Monique revealed that Kimberly had been born HIV positive, a result of an unspeakable trauma Monique endured nearly 2 decades earlier. She explained that the diagnosis had been a secret she carried to protect Kimberly from the stigma and judgment she feared her daughter would face. Kimberly sat frozen, her mind reeling. The world she thought she knew shattered around her. The moments of her childhood that had seemed strange, the countless doctor visits, the whispered conversations between her mother and healthcare providers suddenly made sense. Yet, this newfound clarity only deepened her sense of betrayal. She felt an overwhelming wave of anger and confusion. Why had Monique kept this from her? Why had she been made to live a life built on half-truths and silence? The hours following the conversation were a blur. Kimberly retreated to her room, a slight flush that crept into his cheeks. She dressed strategically that day, nothing overtly inappropriate, just enough to draw attention. Her blouse was a bit more fitted than usual, the neckline modest but flattering. Her skirt, though well within dress code, rode up slightly. Each encounter left Kimberly feeling a complex mix of emotions. She was in control, manipulating situations to her advantage, but the sense of triumph was accompanied by a growing unease. The lines between her role as a victim and the perpetrator of her own schemes blurred further with every step she took. Despite this, she pressed forward, her resolve unshaken. She convinced herself that she was exposing their weaknesses, holding them accountable for their actions, and taking back the power she felt had been stolen from her. The consequences far beyond what she had intended. It wasn't just their reputations or careers at stake, it was their health, their futures, and the lives of their families. For the first time, Kimberly felt the full weight of what she had done. Her plan, which had seemed so justified in the beginning, now felt like a reckless spiral out of control. The faces of her targets merged with the imagined faces of their spouses, their children, the people who would be impacted by the fallout of her actions. She found herself questioning whether her need for revenge had blinded her to the collateral damage she was causing. That night, Kimberly lay awake, her thoughts racing. The sense of power and control she had once felt was replaced by a deep sense of unease. She began to replay every step of her plan, every calculated move she had made, and wondered if she had gone too far. The lines between justice and cruelty blurred in her mind, leaving her feeling more lost and conflicted than ever before. Kimberly spent days wrestling with the consequences of her actions. The weight of what she had done and the ripple effects it had caused became impossible to ignore. The guilt gnawed at her, overshadowing any fleeting satisfaction she had once felt. The faces of her targets haunted her, fragments of fear, shame, and confusion replaying in her mind. She realized she could no longer pretend her actions were justified. She had crossed the line, and the only way to move forward was to confront the truth, no matter the cost. One morning, Kimberly resolved to take responsibility for what she had done. Her decision didn't come easily. The thought of exposing herself, her vulnerabilities, and her carefully hidden pain filled her with dread. But she knew that continuing to live with the weight of her actions would destroy her. She needed to make amends, not just for her victims, but for herself. She reached out to the teachers she had targeted, requesting a meeting. Her message was direct, but vague enough to avoid suspicion, emphasizing the importance of their presence. The meeting was scheduled for the following afternoon in the school's conference room. Kimberly spent the hours leading up to it preparing herself, rehearsing what she would say and bracing for the reactions she expected to receive. When the time came, the room felt oppressive. The air was thick with tension as the four teachers sat around the table, their expressions ranging from confusion to unease. Kimberly stood before them, her hands trembling slightly, but her resolve unshaken. She began to speak, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions churning within her. She told them everything, her diagnosis, her mother's secrecy, and the deep well of pain and anger that had consumed her. She described how those feelings had driven her to devise a plan of revenge, targeting them not out of malice, but as a way to reclaim control over her life. As her story unfolded, the expressions on their faces shifted from confusion to shock and, for some, anger. Kimberly didn't try to justify her actions. She admitted the harm she had caused and expressed her regret, though she knew that no apology could undo the damage. She told them that she was prepared to accept whatever consequences came her way, even if it meant legal repercussions or public humiliation. She just wanted them to know the truth. The room fell silent when she finished speaking. The teachers exchanged glances, their emotions raw and conflicted. Principal Williams, who had always prided himself on maintaining control, looked visibly shaken. Miss Hall's eyes glistened with unshed tears, her face a mix of betrayal and sadness. Coach Jackson sat stiffly, his jaw clenched, while Mr. Lewis avoided looking at anyone, his hands gripping the edge of the table. Kimberly didn't wait for them to respond. She had already contacted the school board and the police, reporting her actions and detailing the events that had transpired. Within hours, the school was in chaos. News of the scandal spread quickly, attracting media attention and igniting outrage among parents and the community. Kimberly was arrested and charged with multiple offenses, including endangerment. The teachers faced investigations into their conduct, and though they were also seen as victims, the inappropriate nature of their actions led to varying degrees of disciplinary action. Some lost their positions, while others faced public scrutiny and personal disgrace. The fallout was immense. Kimberly's story became a national headline, sparking debates about HIV stigma, the ethical responsibilities of educators, and the systemic failures that allowed such incidents to occur. The scandal forced schools across the district to reevaluate their policies, implementing stricter guidelines to protect students and foster a culture of accountability. For Kimberly, the road to redemption was long and arduous. After serving her time in a juvenile detention facility, she began to rebuild her life. She dedicated herself to advocacy, speaking at schools and community centers about the dangers of stigma and the importance of empathy and understanding. Her story, though controversial, became a powerful tool for change, inspiring others to confront their own biases and assumptions about HIV. Years later, Kimberly stood before a crowded auditorium, sharing her journey with a group of students. She spoke candidly about her mistakes, her pain, and the lessons she had learned. Her honesty resonated with her audience, many of whom had never considered the profound impact of stigma or the complexities of forgiveness. Kimberly knew she could never erase the harm she had caused, but she found solace in the work she did to make a difference. Each speech, each conversation, and each step forward was a way to honor the pain she had endured and the lives she had affected. She had turned her darkest moments into a mission for change, proving that even in the aftermath of destruction, there was a path to healing and growth.
Then they had the ridiculous paddles, which now social media is roasting.
That you said false on one side.
Ridiculous.
Elon on
and
the
then
other.
finally, and maybe most terribly, the Democrats who couldn't find it in their heart to stand for objectively good things, including the 95-year-old mother of Mark Fogel and Mark, who got rescued from a Russian prison, and they couldn't even stand up for that. I thought Democrats came into this speech lost and defeated by Donald Trump, and today it looks to me like they're even more lost and even more defeated than when this speech started.
I'm going to show you a piece here. I believe it's CBS News. And as you've been seeing in these last two clips, people in the media are starting to notice there's a big problem here. And I'm telling you, I feel like it's like save our job time.
Humble about analyzing speeches like this because the country often catches on to things that those of us in Washington might not sift the way the country does. When the president listed things that he thought were extravagant examples of wasteful spending, those of us around this table might say, well, that's not going to be enough, even if you cut all that to balance the budget, which is $840 billion out of balance. But Americans will hear it and say, wait a minute, those things sound wasteful to me. Sounds like Elon Musk and the president are on to something. There was also tremendous emotive power in several parts of the speech that I think will resonate across the country. Whether it's Laken Riley slaying her mother and sister, or Mark and his mother Malphine Fogel rescued or brought back from Russia, or a Border Patrol agent, Roberto Ortiz, or Stephanie Diller, the surviving spouse of a slain New York City police officer. Those things carry emotional weight, not only in the moment, but probably inevitably in the pass-around social media dissection of this speech. I keep my eyes and ears tuned to emotional moments like that often jump over the instantaneous Beltway analysis.
The instantaneous Beltway analysis. You see, he just summed it up perfectly. You people in this Beltway, and they're talking about the Beltway around Washington, D.C., you people who are enveloped in this concrete prison that you call the Beltway, and you're only talking to each other all day, all night, everybody's the same, and you're hearing, hey, attaboys, and but you have no idea what the rest of America is thinking. And so, as he just said, people outside the Beltway loved what Trump said, and you may think it's no big deal, but they're going, what? $50 million for condoms in Mozambique? What? They are so devoid of being able to empathize with people outside of the Beltway, outside of their studios in New York or Washington, that they don't understand that people, real people, look at that and go, that's pretty crazy. I mean, that's absolutely nuts. What are we going to do about it? Which is an honest question. And you have no answer for them. Trump has an answer. You may not like it, but he has an answer. Cut it off. What's your answer? Well, their answer is to not even pretend that it doesn't even exist. It's all lies, 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 I'm telling you. That's not going to work anymore. It's not going to work just to turn your eyes away from it and pretend like it doesn't exist. That's their modus operandi at this point. They can't even confront reality. Hey, how in the heck did we go from 5,000 to 6,000 people a day crashing the border to 10? I've said it for a long time. The thing that's going to do and is doing in the Democratic Party is the contrast. They used to see the images and the videos of people just coming and coming and coming, and everybody else going, you guys got to stop this. You can't keep it going. New York City, they're beating up cops. Everything's happening. Oh my God, do something. What did Biden say? Oh, there's nothing I can do. Yeah, I need Congress to go do something. Give me the money. What? Do something. How about, hey, Kamala, you gonna do anything about no? Trump turns off the spigot just like that. Bam, just like that. To the point where you got border agents down there going, yeah, I feel like the Maytag repairman. There's nothing going on. 16 people yesterday, down from like 5 and 6. 16 at Eagle Pass. That's it. 16. How did it happen? Well, you had a president, and Trump said this yesterday. It happened because I'm here. That's the only answer. He said it to gazillion people who watched. And the gazillion people who watched turned to the Democrats because he didn't do anything different. Just, you turn off the light. You just, boom, done. Don't come back here. Well, how did he do it if y'all couldn't do it? But the eggs are really expensive. You know how much eggs are right now? So what happens when, in a couple months, the eggs are back to where they're supposed to be? Then you really have nothing to talk about. Never mind the fact that people from November and December till now, who aren't paying $9 a dozen, have figured out a different way to eat. See, even your remedy, which is to cull the chickens and to get people pissed off because the eggs are too much, gets to a point where people are like, you know what? I guess I don't need eggs. It happened with people who smoke cigarettes. Hey, what's cigarettes now? Oh, cigarettes are $8 a pack. I thought I was hooked. I'm not hooked anymore. Yeah, that was good. That's my last
Kick
one.
my habit.
I never smoked, by the way. And you learn behaviorally at that point, I guess I don't need this, do I? Nope, you don't need it. Democrats are screwed. They're dead. And this last part is really funny because of all the people who basically stuck a stake in the heart of the Democrats, it's best when you hear it coming from another Democrat.
Will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Now you see why Stephen A. Smith is in the polls as a presidential candidate? See what I'm talking about? You see that idiocy right there? You talk about something, people being tone deaf. Why the hell would 22 Democratic senators be literally echoing the same thing and think that would resonate with the American people? All it shows is that the same fabric of our democracy is unchanging in the eyes of some of these officials, and as a result, the constituency they represent, which is why Donald Trump is in office. Well, do I have to come up to Capitol Hill and give you lessons?
Like I said earlier, I don't know who the leadership is, and I don't know who involved their marketing, but that person needs to be fired, or should have been fired, about an hour after those videos hit. At that point, you should have just walked in and went, you know what, we're going to go full Elon on you. Pack your stuff and get out. You're done. Okay, here's your severance check. Just hit the bricks. You got to go. Whoever came up with that idea, it looks like an idiot to anyone who's ever done any marketing. You became a laughing stock within 30 to 45 minutes of these videos being launched. And what the scariest part about all of this is, that's our government. These 23 people, these 23 senators who have to vote on some of the most important things for Americans didn't realize, not one of them said, hey, I don't think this is a good idea. You want us all to read the same thing, yeah. And I'll put it out on our social media like we're the ones who came up with it, yeah. You don't think people are going to notice?
Seriously, you don't get it? All you did, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer. Let's all get together. Let's put this in a prompter, and all together, albeit in separate rooms, we'll grab a microphone and say the same damn thing. And that's what's going to resonate with the American people.
I don't mean to break out laughter so much, but Stephen A. sometimes can be a complete clown, but he's 100% right here. Who told you people this made sense? I mean, a sophomore in college in marketing 101, we were like, no, that's that's not what you want to do. That's stupid. I mean, there's many times I've sat in marketing rooms where people are pitching things to clients, and then you sit back and somebody in the room has to go, that's pretty stupid. But then you see commercials on television, you're like, how did that get past so many people? It's the stupidest thing ever. Because there's someone who's making a decision, probably a little bit higher level than an intern, and the other people go, well, if you think it'll work, let's go ahead and do it. By then, they didn't run it probably through the CMO or the more senior people, and they ran with it. And it had to be coordinated because all of them had to get their phones and the little tick-tocky microphone. And they all had to read the same script, so you had to email it to everybody and go.
And then you wonder why you're no longer in power. You wonder why Trump is in the White House. These people are about 10 exits past normal. Look, you just got to try harder not to suck.
Try harder not to suck. All right, be right back. Let's go ahead and get this.
State ready to proceed with sentencing?
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
With Ashley's next-gen Nuvella Performance fabric.
call it back.
Hello?
Yes, I didn't get your address for tomorrow.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I started getting the cooler and everything ready for tomorrow. I'll send it to you.
Okay, good enough. We'll see you tomorrow.
I'm so sorry.
No
Okay,
problem. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
She's gonna send it to me.
So you threw out those last. I didn't know he tried to go to the Oscars. I had to be on the cover of Vogue. I didn't know that stuff, Candace. I honestly didn't know. What's it like being a black conservative?
What else you don't know, Stephen A? I think there's a lot of things you don't know. Not trying to be disrespectful or nothing, but like, there's a reason why we're conservative. It's not because we coon, bootlicking Uncle Tom's, we working for the chucking for the white man. It's because when you do the research and you know the things that we know and you see the things that we see, you cover the media the way we cover it and not trying to, capitulate to left-wing theology with Trump derangement syndrome, then you see it's all fluff. This dude is the most disrespectful person to ever come to our country, begging for money in an endless war. He doesn't want peace. He could say, I want peace. I want a ceasefire. But can I at least get a little bit of coin so we can get to a ceasefire position? This fool come in there like nothing is going. You wait until you have a conflict. Well, now you finna get kicked up out of here. You don't know we gonna have a conflict at our ocean. And then, Trump had to put the smack down. Go to clip.
You have a message.
Yeah. Nobody better ask this question than you.
Honestly, it's a hell of a lot easier than it was when I first got into this back in 2015, because that was the first time they saw Trump and people just could not see past how could this possibly happen. And I think the media had a stronger hold on people's minds then than it does now. Now we've seen the explosion of independent media. People are able to get their voices out outside of the New York Times and CNN and Fox News, and that's helped tremendously to defeat all of these media caricatures that are being created. But I find it now, it's pioneering, to put it in a nice way. And I think it's the most rewarding thing ever when what I have found is that if you just stand for truth, even in the beginning when it's really hard and people say terrible things about you, and I've been called everything you could possibly imagine, then there's that moment, even if it takes years, where they do come back and they say you were right, particularly about BLM. I mean, I was hitting the drum about the finances so early, and I'm going, I'm not saying that you don't have feelings about this thing, but I am telling you something else is going on, and this is going to harm the Black community in the end. This money is just going to be zapped out of communities, and communities are going to be destroyed. And then when that was proven right, it was so refreshing to hear people say, yeah, we kind of hated her for a really long time. We're kind of saying this for a really long time. And then, the fraud of Patrisse Cullors and what they were doing with the money. And so my brain just works differently. I am different, and I'm happy being different. I don't want to be the same. But I also do respect, I think I've learned in the process as well, is to just respect where people are at. My sisters did not like where I was at when I started speaking in the way that I was speaking.
How many sisters do you have?
I have two sisters, and they're my best friends. So one is a year older, one's a year younger. So I grew up, we're like a trio.
So they sandwich you. They sandwich you. They wouldn't get you. They sandwich you, huh?
Well, they just didn't really care. Right. To me, that's Candace. I've always been different, right. And they didn't know what I was on or what I was thinking. And now, this last election, they voted for Trump, which is crazy. I mean, they were fully on the left. and they just sort of saw it. And so it's just been cool to see that. And they now like my podcast. Before they didn't even listen to it. But we always had, I grew up obviously not obviously, but my family has a great sense of humor. And that was one of the worst things I hated about BLM is that I've always thought that Black people culturally, we're the funniest. We're the funniest. You always want to go listen to Chris Rock, Chris Tucker, and you saw that removal where everything was just taken so seriously. We were so easily offended. And I hated that. I thought the best parts of what the Black culture represented to me growing up was removed. And for me and my sisters, they never cared. Like, I'd be like, can you watch my cat? I have to go to a Trump thing. And my sister would be like, oh, are you going to another one of your Klansman rallies? Like, yeah, I'll watch your cat, you know? It was always a joke.
I'm wondering, because of your knowledge of politics, your obvious knowledge of the issues, when you speak on these things and you take positions about, you take such positions, particularly if it's antithetical or the antithesis of what the Black community will point to, do you think about it and do so on purpose because, dare I say, you're disgusted with us as a community for being hoodwinked by the Democratic Party in your eyes? Is that possible?
So that's a very good question. And disgusted would not be the right term for it. Frustrated, yes, and constantly trying to give people the facts so that they understand that Lyndon Baines Johnson was an avowed racist and he hated us, and yet we are doing everything that he wanted us to do. We are reacting emotionally and not rationally. We seem to be a stereotype of irrationality, actually. All we have to do is make them feel something and they won't react. And I want to be clear, it's not just Black Americans. The Me Too movement was another manifestation of that. That's why I'm doing this Harvey Weinstein series. But what really does upset me about the Black community is that the manner in which we defend criminals, you will not find this in any other community, okay? So white person gets shot, killed, unarmed. They're not coming out. White people are not coming out and burning down their own neighborhoods, right? They're going to be
Did you see the Black community attack me for going off about OJ being celebrated? Did you see that?
Yeah. They've conditioned us to actually defend the worst in our communities. They just will let it go. Do you think Chinese people are going to run outside if they're like, well, listen, this guy was high on fentanyl. He got into a brush up with police officers and he died. Chinese people will be like, especially Asian moms are just dead serious. They'd be like, you idiot, good for you. So you're an embarrassment. Never come home. This is how Asian women are. They have a standard. You think Jewish people are coming outside and gonna, rally around? No. They all know that they think of it as like a natural process. We don't want to associate with that. And we have the exact opposite mindset. And when I say the exact opposite, I mean also the reverse of that being that the most educated and the most accomplished people in our community, in terms of their intellect, we reject. How can we ever get ahead, right? Oh, Condoleezza Rice, no, she's a traitor. She's an Uncle Tom. Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice, he's a traitor. He's an Uncle Tom. But Dr. Ben Carson, a literal brain surgeon. Black people will call him stupid. It's crazy. So there's no way Black America can get ahead with that backwards mindset where you put George Floyd on a t-shirt and you denigrate and disrespect someone like Clarence Thomas. I'm just not with it.
Great interview. Y'all can go watch the rest of the interview on Stephen A. Smith's show. I think Candace is probably going to recap it. I'm really like bright. Maybe it's just TV. I look good over there. So, I thought it was a really good interview. I think Candace Owens is obviously a tremendous young lady. Obviously, I know her, been knowing her, but she was real pure Black. We both kind of started out together. And, I think that it's good for people to start having these conversations across the aisle with people like Candace and I. Because the Black community, I think, is waiting for permission to wake up and when enough is enough, maybe people will start changing. Because it is true that white people would never have a George Floyd because they had a Tony Temple. Tony Temple was murdered by police. He called for help. He wasn't high on fentanyl. They literally suffocated him and mocked him and made fun of him and laughed at him while he was dying, which I think that Tony Temple's case was a lot more egregious looking than George Floyd. But yeah, we didn't burn down our own communities. We ain't burning down white people's community. We burn our own communities down. Got t-shirts with his name on it. And then a young girl get killed in a BLM shootout and we don't even raise money for her. We don't even give her any time of day. The little kid at the joint Congress, DJ Daniels, or Daniel, that young man, exemplification of courage, exemplification of a real good story of how God can overcome. He beat cancer. He was honorary, was an honorary police officer. Now he's an honorary Secret Service member. I mean, every young black kid should be inspired by that story. Not just black, but I'm saying especially black. But what do? We mock them, they twerking on him and all kind of stuff. They didn't even stand up and give him a clap. At least the black people in Congress on the Democrat side should have stood up and clapped for the only black guy. Or all the dumb women that wearing pink in solidarity could have at least stood up and clapped for the young lady who lost her kid, Laken Riley, or the young girl that was killed, the 12-year-old. They could at least stand up and support them women, but they don't, because it's hot where they going. I just want y'all to know that, in case you didn't know. All right, let's go to some other topics that we have here. Ben Shapiro calls on Trump to pardon Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin of federal crimes in George Floyd's case. All right, I'm gonna go through some of this discussion. We could bring the clip up here in a second. How long is that clip? Okay, maybe he'll litigate his own clip right here. So I'm gonna let it play. I haven't heard the clip yet, but I want to see what he actually says. I'll tell you this off the top. If somehow the murder of George Floyd is contested at any point, I disagree with him. But if it's a civil rights claim, because we know how silly these people are, then I will agree with Ben Shapiro wrote a clip.
Ben Shapiro made some news when he called for the pardon of Derek Chauvin.
President Trump should, in fact, pardon Derek Chauvin. He should pardon him his federal charges. The evidence demonstrates that Derek Chauvin did not, in fact, commit murder of George Floyd. George Floyd was high on fentanyl. He had a significant pre-existing heart condition. Right now, you should go to pardonderek.com and sign our petition asking President Trump to grant justice to Officer Derek Chauvin.
Now, if we go to that website, there's a big letter calling for his pardon where you can sign at the bottom. By clicking here, you consent to receive emails featuring news and special offers from Daily Wire and our sponsors. So is Ben really doing this out of the goodness of his heart? Regardless, I think he's right. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on this, but most of them have never watched the body cam footage. It's available online. You know the gist. George Floyd buys a banana, then tries to use a fake $20 bill. The police are called, and a maniacal George Floyd gives officers a hard time.
Step out and face away. Step out and face away.
Okay, please don't shoot me. Please, man.
I'm not going to shoot you. Step out and face away.
I'm going to get out, man. Stop resisting, man. I'm not. Yes, you are.
Okay.
Please, man. Please don't do that. Take a seat. I'm going in, Mr. Officer. I'm going in. No, you're not. I got to go in. Take a seat.
Grab a seat, man.
Man, y'all don't believe me, Mr. Officer. Take a seat. I'm not that kind of guy. Y'all, I'm going to die in here. Take a seat. I'm going to die, man. You need to take a seat right now. And I just had COVID, man. I don't want to go back to that.
The key to remember is that the autopsy showed no life-threatening injuries, but deadly traces of fentanyl, norfentanyl, methamphetamine, and morphine. My God, no wonder he was dancing around like this. Your biggest clue that this didn't kill George Floyd was him yelling, "I can't breathe," before he ever touched the ground.
All right, here you go. This is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. And y'all know I'm a cop and I support cops. And did Derek Chauvin directly murder George Floyd? Derek Chauvin directly murdered George Floyd, which means that he was 100% of the reason that George Floyd died. No, Stevie Wonder can see that. However, his behavior, his lack of putting George Floyd in the recovery position, him kneeling on him while he's complaining that he can't breathe, him doing all of that over time was a contributing factor to the fentanyl and meth and all kind of the stuff. If George Floyd was never in the position that he was in, I don't think he would have died. I really don't. Or at least he wouldn't have died in the police possession. And I don't know any person that's rational that thinks that somehow Derek Chauvin did nothing. Derek Chauvin should get an award for the worst police officer to ever live. And it doesn't mean that what he did was as egregious as other police officers, but the timing and what he did caused such a downpour of drama in our country that never should have happened. I was a cop. I would have never did what Derek Chauvin did ever. And I'm not trying to act like I was perfect. But when you going and dealing with a guy you know high, he's not high like he's taking K2 Spice where he's superhuman strong and he's fighting people. He's high like he's on some drugs that's making him delusional and he's lethargic. And when you got him on the ground and his hands is behind his back and you got 2 officers on his legs, he can't do nothing. So while he's complaining, I can't breathe, I'm gonna die, mama. If you had any common sense whatsoever, people are recording your stupid, you can just roll him on his side. So you can show the world you actually care and that you're trying to help him. But you was on his neck, shoulder, neck, I don't give a. You on there for 15, 20 minutes. How long was 17 minutes? Something crazy? It was something like that. Then he died and you was still on his neck. You see, he dead. He peed himself. He expired. You still there. And then you got everybody else in trouble. You got the other 2 rookie officers indicted. You got the guy that was just standing there trying to protect you. You got him indicted. Dumbest cop on planet Earth. Was he solely responsible for George Floyd's death? No. George Floyd did have drugs in his system that contributed to his death. But Derek Chauvin don't get no pass from me. Zero. It just was so unreasonable to me. You could have got off the man's neck at some point, especially when everybody watching you, bro. And like, you're not doing anything by holding him down like this. He's not going to go anywhere. He's got his hands behind his back. I mean, he deserved to get away if he can somehow lift himself up off the ground with people on his back with his hands behind his back. He can lift himself up and run away. Here, throw him the key. Let him take his cuffs off and be free. But my God, dude, he's literally just down there. And then you know he's high. So you have to think of concepts like excited delirium. When people are high, they start to go down. We all learned about excited delirium. Every cop since 2011, I'm sure, where they start to take these drugs and they have an extreme high and they start to decline, heart failure, die. And we learned that in the academy. That's why we don't do the polyester pig pile no more. That's what we used to call it, the polyester pig pile, which means that one person get on and everybody jump on them. And all that momentum and adrenaline and stuff, you don't realize you're suffocating the guy under there. But, you know, some people ain't gonna like what I had to say, but, you know, you got the guy, sit him up. He not like fighting nobody. Sit him up against the wheel. And let me say this and I'm gonna move on. The only reason that I say this because I've been in a situation at least 3 times where I had a guy, he was high as a kite. He was actually fighting us. But then he grabbed the rails of the apartment thing. He wouldn't let the rail go. So I used, and me and other officers used pressure point tactics. And one of the pressure point tactics is to run the baton up the shin. You cross their legs like that. You put the baton in the middle. You cross the leg over so you can use leverage, and you run it up the shin. Now, 99.9% of people that you run a baton, a metal baton up their shin, they're gonna give up the ghost. But when I started running that thing up his shin and his shin was flexing, I could feel his shin flexing like this. I say, oh man, this guy's high as a kite and he's finna go into excited delirium. I'm not going to run the shin because I'll break his shin in half if I keep rolling it. We need to focus on getting him into a recovery position and calling EMT right now. And so what did I do? Immediately I got on the radio and said, I think we're dealing with excited delirium. Can you send EMS now? And I just kind of held him down, and I tried to roll him on his side while he's still holding the rails because he wouldn't let it go. And then we ended up getting the medical staff there, and we got him the help he needed. Now, of course, he lived. I had another one where a lady faked like she was limp and was sucking dirt in her mouth, and then she laid on her back, acting like she was choking on her tongue. I mean, I did everything I can to sit her up. I knew she was faking, but I set her up. Nobody gonna say Brandon Tatum did nothing. Nobody gonna say that she died in my custody. Maybe she ain't faking and she really sucking in dirt because she's a lunatic, and she ended up choking on dirt and dying. You ain't gonna get it on me. I got kids at home. I ain't got time to be going to jail over none of these people. But Derek Chauvin was a complete idiot. Complete idiot. And now our country is changed forever because he was an idiot. Anyway, I know that's a long explanation of Derek Chauvin, but that was the dumbest video I've ever seen in my life, in trying to explain why he somehow didn't have any impact on his death. Let me continue. If you ask me, I think it's an email grab. All right. Advocates for the pardon, conservative commentator, that's Ben Shapiro's thing. Elon Musk support. Billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk has expressed support of Shapiro's campaign. Nah, I think it's a money grab, to be honest. I don't know any rational person that will. If you were talking about federal civil rights charges against him, meaning that he violated George Floyd's civil rights, I think that's complete bullcrap, because it had nothing to do with the color of his skin. It had everything to do with the fact that dude was resisting to a certain degree, and he did need to be detained. And just because you're a crackhead and you black don't mean you just get away with breaking the law. But anyway, those things bother me, man. I don't know why, they just bother me. People got to get their stuff together, because the law is the law. And I think that I don't know if the charges were correct. I got to go back and look at the charges. I litigated this in my book. I wrote a book, Beating Black and Blue, and in the section of the book, I went through my opinions on George Floyd's case. It was so long ago, I didn't forget his charges. All right. Let's go to... Nah, I don't want to do the censorship. There was something that I sent in the chat. Was it? Hold on, y'all. 1 second. There's a video that I wanted to do. It was let me see what it was. Oh man, I'm logged out. No, it was something cultural. All right, I got to move on. I got a couple other articles I want to talk about, but I don't really like these as much. This one is the House censures Representative Al Green for disrupting Trump's address. Democrats start randomly singing. And then Nancy Mace destroys sanctuary city mayors defending immigration policies. The only reason I don't want to do that because I don't really like Nancy Mace that much. And nothing against her. I'm just not in favor of Nancy Mace. I think that some people are genuine in their approach and some people want to go viral. And I don't really like the want to go viral stuff. I think you should be genuine in your approach. And I hate that I got logged out of my Instagram. I can get back in, but I could have sworn there was something that I had put out there that I wanted you. That could be one, but go up a little bit. Y'all hold the phone a second. Go up a little bit on your computer. I'm looking at your computer. Oh, is that the chat? Oh yeah, hold on. Where's that? The one at the bottom. The Andrew Schultz. Is that Andrew Schultz? Oh no. Okay, go up. Go up. Go up. Keep going. There was something else I wanted to talk about and I totally forgot about it. So never mind. I guess I can't talk about it today. So I'm gonna which one? We'll do the MSNB hee-haw. Like yeah. Oh, the racist thing. That's the one. that I looked at earlier. We're gonna do that, and then we'll be done. This show gonna be short today. I don't like Nancy Mace that much, man. I really don't like some of these people. They irk me because I don't think that they're genuine. You know, one thing about me is when I started doing all of this stuff, it was no money involved. So everything that I did was genuine and still is. I only know how to be genuine, and genuine has made me successful. So it was never a sense where I saw there was an opportunity and I said, I want to do that for that opportunity. It was really like, I'm just expressing myself. I'm a cop. I can't make no money off of this. I mean, I didn't even know people made money off posting on social media. And so I think that created a unique situation of being genuine versus somebody that you see and you're like, oh, you just trying to say this and be as inflammatory as possible so you can have a viral clip. Are you really serious about what you're saying? Are you really gonna pull up on somebody like you act like you will? Do you really? And then when people confront you, you start cowering, and now I know that people are not serious. All right, y'all, I'm gonna answer a couple super chats while we prepare the second story. Shout out to everybody that joined the Tatum Squad. We had like 60 people join the Tatum Squad the other day. I appreciate you guys. Make sure that you look at, you can leave it off. I'm just gonna read it here. Make sure that you are looking at the community tab if you're a member, because we post stuff on the community tab, discounts and everything like that. And I want you guys to have the first access to the tickets to my event here in Scottsdale, Arizona. So as soon as we post it, you better take advantage of it, because as soon as I open up to the public, they're going to sell out like this. It's only 100 tickets and 20 of them are VIP. So it's really 80 tickets. And it's me and Pastor Alec Jackson at a private residence. We're going to have hors d'oeuvres served. We're going to have food catered by my friend Tommy from the Inns restaurant here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Incredible food. It's going to be an amazing time. So many of you guys would love to have, and the VIP have a dinner with me before the event starts. So we're going to eat dinner. We're going to have more of an intimate conversation for people who are VIP. But I want you guys to have access to it first before everybody jump on it and take all the seats. All right. And that's the perks. That's one of the perks you get as being a member on YouTube. Charlie smoking him like a blunt. Jessica said, that's fun. That's my sir. Let's see. Mike said Gavin Newsom is fake and your support team isn't answering me, but I got someone else order instead of mine and I need the label with your store address. I like don't even want to answer that. They ain't answering you. Okay. I'm gonna look it up right now. I got my computer. Y'all, you don't make me look this up live. They just ain't answering you. Like, all right, I'm gonna look it up. Somebody could be trolling. Look it up right here. I'm gonna look up orders. If your name something different than what's on this thing, you should be ashamed of yourself. I don't have a single order from the name that's on this super chat. Let's go back to the super chat. Did I spell his name wrong? No. Not unless his first name is different. Let me go and look and see if the first name is different. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna try. All right, y'all hold the phone.
Can you please go?
So I'm assuming it's this person. I'm not gonna say your name because I don't want you to get weird on here. But I see 3 orders from what appears to be you. I think it's you. And you saying somebody didn't get back to you on your recent order, I'm assuming. Because right here, you got a partial refund on February the 25th. And then there's an order on Thursday of a JD Vance shirt, a Trump Vance shirt. Somehow you got 70% off. I think we're doing a crazy sale. Maybe it's 70, it ain't 50 no more. Maybe it's 70% off. Let's see. So it looks like it's been delivered. There's no notes of anything wrong. And I go back to February 25th. Let's see. Looked like you were issued a partial refund. Because the discount code didn't work, so they gave you a refund to refund the rest of it. And you saying that nobody's communicated with you. I'm finna send your order number to customer service on our chat right now. Because I find it very difficult to believe, but we will see. Let's see. Y'all hold the phone. I do this stuff real time. Y'all just wait. Gotta find my customer service guy in here, Ron. All right, boom. Sent it to my customer service team, and we'll see what they say back. And I swear I'm gonna ban you from my store if we've been talking to you and you say we didn't. And I'll tell you this: if somehow you didn't get a response, we'll give you a whole order for free. If you sent the message to my customer service team and they haven't gotten back to you, I'm gonna refund your entire order. First of all, we're gonna fix it, and I'll refund your entire order. If somehow, some way, and I hope this ain't the case, that our people have communicated with you at any point, I'm gonna blast you and I'm gonna block you from my store. So that's two outcomes there. If somehow my people ain't responding to you, and you hit customer service, you're getting your stuff for free. All right, next one. Free Tommy Robinson. The only reason I say that, y'all, because I have had so many people, it wasn't a lot, it's rare. I mean, we get, I don't know how many, 40,000 orders a year so far we've been getting. So out of all those people, it's rarely somebody that have a problem. But some people do have a problem and they're not genuine about it. I have had people contact our customer service. They've gone back and forth with our customer service, and then they act like they try to do a chargeback or something. And you're like, well, wait a minute. They've been talking to you. You got your product. Why are you trying to do a chargeback, and why are you being disrespectful and cussing out our customer service team? You know, or people get real mad and upset. I'll never shop at your store again. I got the wrong product. And it's like, ma'am, you ordered the wrong product. Now, just if you be rational, we'll fix it for you. Some stores will never fix it for you. They don't care. It's your fault you ordered the wrong thing. But we'll fix it for you. You know what I'm saying? That's how I do. I'm big on customer service. Anybody get a product that it don't fit or something, as long as you ain't got dog hair on it and stuff like that, we could probably work with you on it. If it's some design you just don't like, if it's an imperfection in the design, we'll refund that back to you. We'll do an exchange or whatever the case may be. We don't skimp out on customer service. But you do have people that get in there and they swear it before God that they were done wrong, and then I go and look at it and I'm like, the team has been communicating with you. You actually been cussing my guy out, and he's been very kind to you. You got your product like you want. You had your address wrong. You ordered 2 of the wrong shirts. You should humble yourself and we'll fix it. That's the only reason why I'm addressing that, because some people do it. I hope this person is, I hope Mike, I hope that it looked like you purchased from a store 3 times. I'm hoping that you're being honest because you super chatted it in front of the world. Okay. Let's see. Alexandra, I didn't know. At least he admitted he didn't know. I agree. Hopefully this humbleness spreads. Candace laid it down. Y'all doing work out here. I appreciate it, Alexandria. Kathy, thanks so much for joining the Tatum